Hello, Dexter Morgan.
Basically, I'm just going to go through all of Dexter's feats I can find throughout the franchise. Starting obviously with Original Sin, his best strength feat is cutting Tony's head off with one swing of a knife, which is 7,845.32 joules, street level. Annoyingly, he doesn't have any impressive unarmed or durability feats, so hopefully Original Sin Season 2 shows us more of what young Dexter can do. In comparison, the show is very clear on his speed. We see him move when Tony shoots a bullet at him, which is 25.909 for 40598 meters per second, superhuman combat speed and supersonic reaction speed. We also see him dodge a flare gun, which is 13.989 meters per second, superhuman. Now if you're paying attention, you'll see that the calculation on screen gives different numbers, and that's because when I looked up the speed of a flare gun I found it's 110 meters per second, which is higher than what they used, so I just changed the flare gun speed and got 13.989 meters per second. Superhuman. This means Dexter was about 1.8 times slower after giving 2 pints of blood. So young Dexter has street-level attack potency with superhuman combat speed and supersonic reaction speed. The best you can really argue for his physical strength and durability is athletics, since he'd beat a police captain. Now moving to Prime Dexter, he has a lot of street and wall-level feats, but going over the street-level ones seems redundant, so I'll just be going over the wall ones. At the end of Season 2, Dexter smashes through a wooden wall. There are a lot of calculations for this, so I'll go over some of them from the low balls to the high balls. I warn you that from this moment onward the video devolves into me critiquing maths. This 258.0 for joules athletic calculation uses beam failure equation and force over Planck dimensions, reduces 33% for fire. I think it severely underestimates force. Scaling width by 2 to account for damage post-break is incorrect. Also, fire damage doesn't scale linearly with strength loss like this. This 1581.7 joules, street calculation, applies modulus of rupture 99 MPa to a cross-sectional beam of oak. Includes fire weakening and divides by 3 hits. Better use of wood material properties. Dimensions are small, but the logic is structurally valid. However, assumes each board bends/ruptures cleanly, which is unlikely during a shoulder slam. This 5.8 to 39.5 kilojoules calculation corrects for gaps between beams and estimates volume between shoulder width times height times beam thickness, scales fire weakening with ranges. Arguably the most refined of all these calculations, especially with adjusting volume for empty space. Uses both fragmentation and violent fragmentation, which is appropriate given visible destruction. This 11.9 to 43 for kilojoules, wall calculation. Uses Dexter's surface area for the whole and multiplies by wall thickness for volume, applies fragmentation per cubic centimeter. Approximates Dexter's whole well. VSA is a solid basis for wall breach volume. Good fire effect bracket, slightly oversimplified but practical. This 230 to 426 kilojoules, wall calculation. Uses total wall volume and JCC frag values for oak or maple wood. Accounts for fire damage 33%, realistic volume-based approach. The high end seems strong for this scale of damage, but the method is sound, and fragmentation values are consistent with destructive feats. Lastly, I tried doing it myself, and this is the calculation I got. Now me saying this is my calculation might make you think that's me saying this is the correct one, but no. You should never just blindly trust someone. You should always double check for yourself, and you should look at the maths and pick the one you think is the most accurate. Because people can be wrong or lying, and you know what they say. Never assume ignorance when you can assume malice. Ultimately, I think 30,000 to 75,000 joules, wall level, is the most accurate estimate for this feat. Next, we have Dexter tackling Rankin through a wooden bathroom stall wall in Season 5. This 0.97 to 1.9 kilojoules calculation Uses a hybrid pixel measure method for area. Oak fracture toughness 10.3 to 13.8 megapascals. Displacement 1.44 centimeters. Applies stress intensity toughness in a way that yields far too low in energy. Confuses MPa-M with MPa, too low, misapplies stress/energy relationships. This 11 kilojoule calculation uses a cross-section area approach. Treats shear strength as if every bit of wood sheared uniformly. Likely underestimates fracture energy needed. It's simple and underestimates due to oversimplified assumptions. This 31.7 kilojoules calculation measured individual plank widths from on-screen pixels times estimated fragments. Reasonable, but doesn't account for resistance, no kinetic addition. This 43 kilojoules calculation. Surface area times oak shear stress times 6.35 millimeters depth. Well scaled and matches oak strength, doesn't over-exaggerate. This 284 to 584 kilojoule calculation uses to very different JCC figures, doesn't separate plank failure modes. Full wall volume minus gaps times 6.4 to 13.1 JCC, too high. Acts like the entire stall explodes into fragments. Out of all of them, I think the 43 is the most accurate. More grounded than the ultra-high over 500 kilojoules calculation. More realistic than the 1 and 11 lower-end calculations. More precise than the 31 calculation. You know, it really is weird how some people try to argue a guy smashing through a wall isn't wall level, but I figured I should show you the low balls to let you know they exist. Next, we have the car crash at the end of Season 5. There's also one at the start of Season 4, but I figured I had enough to establish Dexter as consistently wall level, so I didn't do a calculation for that one. I couldn't find a calculation for either car crash, so as always when I can't find one.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
It comes out to 53,958.09 joules, wall level at a low end, and 134,895.1 joules, wall level at a high end. The Season 6 boat explosion is one of Dexter's building level feats. People don't seem to have a problem with the maths and just say he wasn't on the boat when it exploded. The clip is playing, so watch it and decide for yourself if he tanked it or not. The calculation comes out to 0.1539 to 10495 to tons of TNT, small building level. Up next, we have the best speed feat in the series. Dexter dodging bullets in Season 7. I've previously shown this calculation in my versus battles that gets it to 40.798 meters per second, subsonic. I've since then found this one that comes out to 50 to 0.576775 for 3 meters per second, still subsonic, but a slight speed increase. Lastly, for Prime Dexter, there's him surviving the destruction of his boat at the end of Season 8. There is this calculation that has a high end of 4.13184751 for 3 tons of TNT, large building level. I tried making one of my own and got this. I think the instantaneous aluminium one is the most accurate. Making the boat's destruction 0.678207 for 485898661 for 6 tons of TNT, building level, but only about 1% of that would get transferred to Dexter. Making his durability 0.00678207 for 4858987 tons of TNT, small building. Which does help establish consistency with the Season 6 boat explosion. In summary, Prime Dexter has wall-level strength and durability with a small building level high-end and subsonic combat speed to supersonic reactions. Now to finish things up with Old Man Dexter for New Blood. His best feat is the car crash from Episode 8, which has a lot of calculations for it. There's this 206.07 joules, athletic calculation. Pros, attempts elastic fracture toughness. Cons, misapplies stress intensity formula. This for 1541.1717 to 65 joules, street calculation. Pros, physics-based sigma, AD. Cons, uses only to 0.5 millimeters likely underestimates fracture depth. This 26 to 43 kilojoules, wall calculation. Pros, uses volume-based fracture energy. Cons, slices in frame formula, mixes numbers. This 9 to 43 kilojoules calculation. Pros, adds kinetic energy. Cons, arbitrary choice of 5 millimeters penetration for glass. I tried making my own one that came out to 62,700 joules, wall level. Old man Dexter's best speed feat is dodging a bullet. Also in episode 8, I found versions of this calculation. The left one is 31.069 to 31437 meters per second, superhuman. And the right one is 44.81 meters per second, subsonic. In summary, Old Man Dexter has wall-level strength and durability with superhuman to subsonic speed. I made this before episode 1 of Resurrection came out, but any feats Old Man Dexter performs in Resurrection will just upscale Prime Dexter. At the very least, unless they say otherwise, Resurrection Dexter should scale to New Blood Dexter. I guess the only appropriate way to end a video going over maths is to leave you with Ashley saying,
"You fucking nerd."
Good.